All right, hi. We are gonna be talking about paraphrasing today. It's something that I think many students struggle with, simply because, well, actually there are many factors for this, but you know what, we don't really have time to get into it today, but um, it's something that can really get a student's confidence down, especially when it comes to your short answer questions or your summary or so on and so forth, right? And not to worry, it's a very common problem. And certainly there can be a simple remedy for it through our tips for paraphrasing today. Of course, that's assuming that your grammar basics are sound, right? If your grammar basics are not sound, then of course go and work on polishing that first. So when I say tips for paraphrasing, really it's more of a 5-step process. Step one, right, when you encounter any sentence, let's say assuming that you're going to paraphrase a point for summary, you want to take note of the context and the syntax. So context refers to what the sentence or that particular paragraph or passage is talking about, and the syntax refers to the actual construction of the sentence itself. Okay. Once you have done that, you want to identify your 4 major word classes. Don't worry about it. Later on, I'll show you guys an example. But the 4 major word classes are essentially things like your nouns, verbs, adverbs, and adjectives. Okay. Just a quick reminder in case you have forgotten. Verbs are essentially action words or words that describe the state of something or an event. All right. The easiest way to remember of it would be that it's an action word. And we are referring to words like, a walk, talk, run, so on and so forth. All right. Of course, in all its, depending on what the context is and the syntax is, whatever conjugation of the verb with which we are concerned, just identify them. Next thing, adverbs, right? It's actually in the name already. They add on to the verbs. So adverbs are words that add more information about verbs, adjectives, or even certain noun phrases. All right. Adjectives, they are words that essentially provide more information. So they are descriptive words and they describe the features of people, places, animals, things. So for instance, if let's say I have an adjective like tall, right? Like let's say Sandra is a really tall girl, something like that. In that sentence, the word really is the adverb, the word tall is the adjective. So the adverb adds on more information to the adjective itself. Finally, we have noun. Okay, this one is the easiest one to remember. It's essentially a word that is used to refer to, things, animals, people. So the last 3 words that I just mentioned, things, animals, peoples, they are all actually nouns as well. All right. So you want to ident your 4, major word classes in the paraphrasing process. All right. Next thing, if you are dealing with a really complex sentence structure, i.e. one that's filled with, at least 3 or more clauses in the sentence itself. Okay, if you have forgotten what clauses are, please go and read them up. What you want to do is you want to break them down into digestible ideas, while also, of course, not losing sight or losing track of what the sentence is actually communicating. How you want to break complex sentence structures down would be through using things like certain linking words or even phrases if you want to. You know, although for me personally, I tend to use words, specifically word classes like conjunctions and prepositions to sort of like break up the ideas, as well as using punctuations. So things like dashes or semicolons, or even uh, uh, why am I spacing on the last one? Commas. Okay. So again, in case you have forgotten what conjunctions and prepositions are, conjunctions are words that link ideas together. So words like and, but, however, so on and so forth. Okay. And prepositions are in essence words that suggest the relationship between words. So it can be distance, time, position, so on and so forth. And some examples of prepositions would be words like on, below, before, after, during, to, so on and so forth. Okay. Once you have done that, you want to by what I mean by once you have done that is if once you have done the 3 steps above, okay, so identifying your 4 major word classes, breaking down complex sentence structures if need be, right? I forgot to add an optional thing here. Then you want to paraphrase word for word, right, while maintaining the sentence structure as much as possible. If need be, change the sentence structure itself or change certain word forms, you know, because again, it's all contextual and syntactical, you know, just expecting you to adhere wholesale to a particular sentence structure in certain cases, you know, depending on the ideas that are being communicated, is frankly quite ridiculous. So you want to be more flexible on that front, but of course that in itself entails a strong grasp of, you know, grammar and of course vocabulary, right? That, you know, if you're confident, of course, by all means go ahead and change it up, but make sure that you capture the main ideas lah. Okay. So to demonstrate an example here, right? So take note of the context and the syntax. You know, so in this case, we can see that the sentence is talking about Singapore's water technologies, you know, and the syntax in itself, okay, is really quite a complex sentence structure in that sense. You know, so we have quite a few ideas here, right? So what we want to do is we want to break down this particular complex sentence structure. So like what I said just now, you want to use your prepositions, conjunctions, and punctuation as markers, right? So let's do that first. Singapore's relentless pursuit. Oh, okay, sorry, let me change a pen here. Pursuit, that's where I'll put the first marker. And I'll label this as idea number 1. All right. Pursuit of advanced water technologies. Second idea right here. Has positioned it as a global leader. So I'm using this preposition, and in this case, well, technically this is a verb, but again, you know, the rule of thumb is to make use of prepositions and conjunctions, right? But if there is a need to break it down into even more digestible ideas, then I would suggest, you know, using these kinds of phrases, or other verb phrases as like has position, you know, as a marker as well. So as a global leader, and another preposition here, in sustainable water management. In this case, I'm using the comma as a marker. All right. So idea number 4, 5. With cutting edge solutions that, so idea number 6, this is a conjunction right here. Although in this case, I guess it's really more of a demonstrative in a way, but you know what? Let's continue. That include purification processes. So I'm using the word N as a marker. And intelligent water distribution networks. And the word tool is our next preposition marker. Effectively address the nation's water scarcity challenges. Now, I can technically put one marker here as well. In this case, I'm using this particular article as a marker, right, to sort of like break up the relationship between the word address and the phrase the nation's water scarcity challenges. But of course, you know, at your level, you know, for A levels, you guys shouldn't be struggling with this already. But you know, just in case, right, for posterity, basically. So once we have broken down this complex sentence structure, then you know, it makes things easier for you because it helps you identify the disparate ideas and in turn sort of like allows you to reassemble them to help you deepen your comprehension of this particular sentence, you know, and that obviously in turn helps you with your short answer questions, right? And by extension, AQ, because AQ obviously requires you guys to know how to address the author's points, right? And apply it to the context of Singapore. But again, we are not talking about AQ here. We are focusing on paraphrasing. So next step, right? Ident your 4 major word classes. So Singapore is technically a noun, but it's I can't remember what's the proper name for it, but it's a noun that is used to indicate a name. I think it's called a special noun. I can't remember the proper technical term. So we don't really want to make use of Singapore here. So relentless pursuit, right? Adjective, verb, advanced water technologies, adjective, noun. So in this case, right, I don't really want to paraphrase the word water because there's really no other way to paraphrase the word water in itself. Because in this particular context, okay, that's why I say first step is to take note of the context. In this particular context, we are dealing with the water as in like H2O, you know, water, drinking water, that sort of water. We are not dealing with any other kinds of, you know, specific liquids, so on and so forth. Okay. So that's why we want to be, or rather, we are not going to paraphrase the word water because really there's no other word for it, right? Now, next one, position. Now, technically, as I said before, this is a verb, but in this case, the verb to be, all right, or rather the infinitive form of the word has is to be, right? We don't usually touch this verb because we are using it in this case more in terms of a determiner, in the sense that we are determining the time period in which it's happening. So yeah, we are not going to paraphrase this. It, pronoun, don't need. As a, so preposition, article, don't need. Global leader, right? So adjective or adverb lah, I guess, sorry. In this case, this is an adverb. Leader, noun. In sustainable, adjective. Water, don't need again. Noun, management. With cutting edge, adjective. Solutions, noun. That include verb, purification processes. This is a noun phrase, but we are going to split it up into 2 nouns. Intelligent water, so adjective, water distribution networks, that's also technically another noun phrase. but we're going to split it up to effectively adverb, address verb, the nation's water scarcity challenges, another noun phrase, but two separate nouns. So all the words that are labeled in red, right, have to be paraphrased. Okay? And then, of course, the next step is to substitute, right, or paraphrase all those words that are underlined in red while maintaining everything else as much as possible. Now, this next step is the part where I guess many students struggle with. Well, technically, yeah, I guess so. The actual paraphrasing process itself. Okay. Now, when you're struggling to break down a particular word, right, or rather to paraphrase a word, it's actually very straightforward, but due to many factors such as, let's say, exam pressures or just a moment of brain fart or whatever, you guys are not sure of how to deal with it, because I guess the common complaint here by many students when it comes to paraphrasing is that they would tell me, I know the word, I know what it means, but I'm just struggling, to pick the right one. And even when I paraphrase it, teachers might put, phrases, when they mark their work, teachers might put comments like, wrong paraphrase, extent missing idea, so all these sort of things, but it's not really clear, right? So this is the secret sauce here, okay? And there's a reason why I'm putting this on Telegram. And of course, when I teach my students themselves, when you face a word that you don't know how to paraphrase, break the word down to its root meaning. That's actually how I define vocabulary. Knowing at the core of it, what is at the essence of it, right? What is the actual meaning or the essential meaning of the word? So how you find this out really is just go and look up the dictionary, right? And then after taking note of the context, pay attention to the particular meaning of the word that applies to the context. So let's say, for instance, I see the word relentless. I know what it means, It means to sort of like doggedly chase after something, non-stop trying to do something. But we are not really sure which word to use to paraphrase this, right? To really accurately capture the essence of this word's meaning. So, in which case, don't take any shortcuts, right? Just go and look up the dictionary here. So, for instance, let's say, relentless meaning. Oh, wait, sorry, I just realized I'm not screen sharing that. There we go, right? Definitions from Oxford Dictionary. Unceasingly intense. Can be harsh or inflexible. Obviously, in this context, because we are using the word relentlessly, or rather relentless, right, in the context of pursuit. So what we are actually interested in is this word. Okay, unceasingly. All right, and then the next step, what you got to do is you got to look up the thesaurus. Okay, look for appropriate synonyms. So for instance, if let's say I go and type this in, right, after we have identified the root meaning of it, so we can see some potential synonyms here, right, with unflagging resolve, right? So ceaselessly, continuously, endlessly, incessantly, unendingly, right? In the context of Singapore's pursuit of water technologies, I guess you can use any of these words technically. So once we have identified that, okay, we go back to our original sentence. And we can see, hey, if let's say I use Singapore's continual, right? Technically it works, but does it capture the same extent as relentless? Because relentless technically also carries the meaning of resolve, determination, right? So that means with unending determination. Oh, sorry, I just realized the meme music is playing. I'm gonna change the song a bit here. Yeah, and not try and memify this video, but yeah. Okay, so unending, right? Let's say we use the word unending. Can it work? Possibly, unceasingly definitely can work here. All right. So Singapore's unceasing pursuit. Pursuit means to chase. So chase of advanced water technologies. Then you just repeat the whole process for all these words here. Okay. Now, the final tip that I have to give really is that if you are even 1% unsure about the meaning of a particular word, I would suggest looking it up in the dictionary to really, identify the root meaning of the word itself. So your paraphrasing becomes unerring. Okay. So just to summarize here, right? Take note of context and syntax, i.e. what they are talking about here. So subject matter. Syntax is really the way that the sentence is constructed. Okay, ident your four major word classes: nouns, adverbs, adjectives, verbs. Break down complex sentence structures if need be, right? And you want to use general rule of thumb: conjunctions, prepositions, and punctuation as markers to, segment the ideas. And then you start paraphrasing word for word. Change the word form or structure, sentence structure if you need to. And if you are struggling to paraphrase a word, break the word down to its root meaning. Okay. So again, what I'm going to show you now in this final part of this soundbite, I guess, is reading through once again of the entire sentence, and then I will show you my paraphrase version later on. So again, Singapore's relentless pursuit of advanced water technologies has positioned it as a global leader in sustainable water management. With cutting-edge solutions that include purification processes and intelligent distribution networks to effectively address the nation's water scarcity challenges. Okay? So how did I paraphrase it? Singapore's unceasing research or chase, right? But in this case, I decided to use a more contextual paraphrase. Research into. So in this case, I changed the preposition, as you can see, right? Because research of sounds off. Okay. So research into progressive, advanced water technologies, innovations. Now, in this case, why am I using innovations in lieu of technologies? Because when the sentence said advanced water technologies, we are thinking about innovative technologies, right? There are no other words to really capture the idea of, that abstract concept of technology, because any other tangible noun substitutes would include words like machinery, which is a bit too, too clunky already. So I decided to use more of a contextual paraphrase. Has positioned it as a global leader, worldwide trailblazer or pioneer also can, in sustainable water management, right? Sustainable can mean feasible or viable, sure, but in context, it means renewable use of water, right? So I swapped out renewable for sustainable, use for management, okay? Through novel methods, what did I substitute here? Hang on. Cutting edge solutions. Okay, cutting edge means something that is really, the product of the latest research. Okay, but that also means new. So novel, something that is unprecedented, never seen before. Solutions, methods. All right. Although to be clear, the word methods is being used here in terms of more of a contextual paraphrase rather than an actual paraphrase itself. All right. That include encompassing purification processes, cleansing techniques, because we are literally cleaning the water, right, through reverse osmosis and all that. And intelligent, smart. So just want to be clear, smart and intelligent at their root, they can mean different things, but most of the time, they have similar meanings in context. Okay, so intelligent water distribution networks, water dispersal grids, right? You can also use words like dissemination in lieu of dispersal to productively tackle, effectively address the country's water scarcity challenges, obstacle of water inadequacy. Okay, so this is the whole paraphrasing process. Now, it seems like it's a very long process, very tedious process. The thing is, though, when you do this silently without having to verbalize it and just thinking about it, right? It actually is much faster. Okay. It took me this long to explain it simply because I have to say out loud. And of course, with more practice, it becomes easier. So yeah, next time you guys do any comprehension practices, summary practices, or even just reading a particular text, right? I would suggest following this framework, okay, this thought process. Give yourself a framework to structure your thoughts, then that in turn allows you to better connect with the material and deepen your understanding while building on your, I guess, vocab at the same time. Okay. So yeah, I hope this was useful. And again, if you have any questions, please feel free to drop me a WhatsApp. Okay. And of course, if you need a study space, don't hesitate to contact us as well. All right. And yeah, hope you have a good one. And all the best for your exams.